I imported every map into Blender. Every single one. That's not even a joke, I really imported 157 maps into Blender, plus however many are released in the summer update. Now there is a lot to go over, so I'm splitting this video up into 4 topics. The features, the disadvantages, the improvements, and the installation. Let's start. Proximity Lights is a light optimizer add-on that is embedded into the maps, and trust me, it's going to be your best friend when using them, as most of the maps will exceed Eevee's 127 light limit. Proximity Lights will show the lights closest to the active camera and hide the rest, which can seriously improve performance. When used correctly, I doubt you'll have any rendering issues. Its properties are in the Tool tab up here. To get proximity lights working, spawn a camera and enable light optimization. Distance threshold defines how far away a light can be from the camera before it gets hidden. It will check for this every frame or whenever the slider is being manipulated. So if we go to the next frame here, it updates. The overrides will show whenever a light is selected, and they do what they say. If we get these few lights and choose always on, then those lights will always be on. However, if we do always off, then no matter how close the camera gets to the lights, they will always be turned off. To return the lights to their natural state, select them and hit remove overrides. And now they behave normally. Optimize after amount of frames will optimize the lights every amount of frames. So if we set frame modulo to 15, then the lights will be updated every 15 frames. Defining a collection in light collection will make proximity lights only interact with the lights in that collection. So if we set this to light col, you can see that the lights in that collection are the only ones that are interacted with. Enabling camera frustum will hide all of the lights that are not in view of the camera. Enabling light culling will make it impossible to go past a set limit of lights. So if we set the light limit to something like 28, then only the 28 closest lights will be enabled. Combining camera frustum with light culling will do that. I don't know, make more lights available. Toggling fade lights will give a smoother transition between showing the lights and hiding them. So if we play this, that was weird. You can see that there's a circle gradient. Usually when you import a map with Plumber or Source.io, every prop will have its default skin. For example, every sign would be blue and say battlements, like these signs here, which doesn't make sense, they're in the red base. That issue is not present in the TF2 map pack. Every prop that is in the TF2 VPK model files will have its correct skin. If we even go over to blue, you can see that the skins are correct. Things like waterfalls or vortices in-game have animated textures, which means you'll see them shift to fake movement. This has also been implemented in the map pack, but because there's no way for me to automatically add them, some models may lack this animation. I want to say one thing to the people who'll say, "Can't you just import them with an add-on?" Yeah, you can. That's how I did it. But I also did so many optimizations and tweaks that just aren't available in any add-on. The total file size of the map pack without optimizations would be around 173.7 gigabytes. With optimizations, 7.7 gigabytes. That is roughly 167 gigabytes saved, with nothing lost. Alright. You're unable to edit any linked prop or material, so if we try to select these crates and go to edit mode, it won't work. To get around that, make a library override or localize the data block. Localizing images will increase the file size more than localizing meshes or materials. The Source engine and Blender handle lighting very differently from each other, so it's never really going to look the same. This is because the Source engine actually bakes the lighting into the map, and it can also apply a ray tracing effect for global illumination. The only way to do this in Blender is to use cycles or use irradiance volumes in Eevee. The Intelligence Room is the best way to demonstrate this. The ambience in the Intelligence Room still gives off a feeling as if we're still outside. It's not dark enough. But if we switch over to cycles and see how it looks, because it does ray tracing. Now it actually feels like we're in some basement. It's dark down here. Switch over back to Eevee, doesn't feel the same. I have an irradiance volume already created that matches the dimensions of the room, so if we bake this lighting, now it actually feels like we're in a basement. This can be further tweaked and refined, but this is good for a demonstration. To really sell the ambience of the room, you'll have to litter these irradiance volumes all over a map, which isn't exactly convenient, but that's the compromise for using a real-time engine. Blender can struggle to handle lots of complicated objects in a scene, so I recommend deleting parts of the map you don't ever plan to use. This can be done in both edit mode, turn on X-ray, and object mode for the props. Animations included with a map are set to a frame rate based speed, so if we set the frame rate to something higher, you can see that they move faster. If you want to change the speed of an animation, you'll need to scale the keyframes or mess with the NLA editor. By default, the water is not animated, but there is a way to make it animated. Within every water material, there should be an animated texture node. To apply it, select the world mesh, go to edit mode, select the mesh that has the water material, localize the material, and swap the node links. Enable cyclic and add a refresh, and it should now be animated. I've created a fog script that, when executed, applies a fog effect to the map. Executing this will increase the file size because it has to localize all the mesh and material data blocks in order to modify them. The alternative of doing this is by doing it in the compositor by using data from the depth or mist pass. Once you have the script pasted in the text editor, execute it and wait a little bit. And after a while of waiting, we have a fog effect. To modify this fog effect, select any object, go to any material, and find the fog universal node group. Once selected, press tab, and we can change the settings in here, which will change the settings for every material. This value here controls the intensity of the fog, so if we set that to 0.15, the effect is a lot weaker. From minimum and from maximum defines the starting and ending ranges of the fog, so if we set this to 50, it gets foggier closer. Color 1 and color 2 define the colors of the fog at the start and end, so if we change color 1 to blue, it'll be blue at the beginning of the fog. Changing color 2 to red will make everything farther away red, like the clouds. This doesn't apply to the maps as much, but if you plan to use Merc Deployer, it's still good to know. Thanks to Woha, he and I found a way to temporarily grant a speed boost by disabling the facial flexes of the mercenaries. Right now I set the frame rate to 60 frames per second, but if I play the animation, I'm not getting anywhere near that. So to optimize the mercenaries, select all the faces of the mercenaries you want to optimize and click Optimize Merc. Now when I play the animation, a full 60 frames. Again, this will disable the facial flexes of any mercenary you optimize. So the face isn't moving. So when you reach the point of needing to render your animation, remember to restore the mercenary, so that facial flexes will once again work. I'll start with this. Don't download the entirety of the map pack all at once. That's just stupid. It's dumb. Just get the maps you need or want when you need or want them. Now that that's out of the way, here are the instructions. Every map relies on these two files, materials and props, so make sure to always have those on hand. Once you have those two downloaded, find a map you want to use, for example, Arena Lumberyard. Now open it, and that's it. That's literally all you have to do. The maps have to be in the same folder as materials and props because the maps depend on those two files, and the only way the maps know where those two files are if they are in the same folder as the map. However, if you want to change the location of the map, this is what you'll have to do. Open the map file, go to File, External Data, Make Paths Absolute, and save it. Now move the map into the new folder, try opening it, make sure we did it right, and yeah, it still works. You'll know you installed it incorrectly when everything is blank and there are no materials or props. So I don't know, install it correctly. That's all I can say. Every payload cart in every payload map has a follow path constraint to make it follow along the rails. Every map uses a PNG file for a skybox, but if ever you feel that doesn't meet with your lighting standards, there are a bunch of EXR files encoded in DWAA. Shouldn't really matter since every map uses a solid color for ambience. I've included a specification sheet full of data from the maps. This includes file sizes, light count, and object count. In Eevee, enable screen space reflections to get reflections off the water. You can add a reflection plane to make the reflections more accurate. Thank you for watching to the end of the video. This is most likely my largest and last contribution to the TF2 community, if not my last major contribution. It's been really fun being known as the TF2 Blender guy, helping hundreds start Blender, paving a new way to make content in Blender. It's cool, but I'm tired. I'm bored. I'd like to learn other things, and sticking to this one thing feels like it's preventing me from doing so. So, I hope you understand. I'm always going to be around updating what I've already made, so don't worry about that. Thank you to my Patreon supporters, Tyrelli, Dare King, Mr. Dr. Fish, and Mango Wow. See you soon.